the Union Gap sold more consecutive gold records in the 60s and 70s than both the Beatles and Elvis, getting crowds going with gems like this.
Lady, willpower, it's not love to me. And have you got cheating on your mind? Oh, young girl, get out of my mind. My love for you is way out of line. Better run, girl. You're much too young, girl.
Oh, how good. And now they're back in Australia touring all their biggest hits. And back in the studio is Gary Puckett. Welcome, Gary. Wow, it's such a treat to have you guys back in Australia, and our audience got so excited as well, knowing you're going to be in the studio today. What's it like for you being back in Australia? It's almost a second home for you now.
It's wonderful. You know, the fans love our music and they receive us really well. So, you know, and everybody here is so cool and friendly. Yeah. So it's wonderful being here.
What's it like looking back on those old clips?
Well, you
I
know,
saw you watching it quite intently.
Yeah, I was about to say I need to get copies of that from you guys because I don't have those. And you're looking at the boy there, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's weird,
it's
isn't
fun to see those things. It brings back lots of memories for me.
Did you keep some of the fashion that you wore? Because that's kind of back. Like, you could easily wear that on stage now. Do you wear it on stage now?
We do.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Well, you see, the outfits were a part of my idea that we should have success, and that might help us by having a visual image.
Right.
You know, so when I came up with the idea, I thought, well, I think this is really good. And I had grown up in a town called Yakima in Washington State, and that's where Union Gap is. So it's a place, and now it's a band, and I thought it's a great identity, and it helped because there was a program director, disc jockey in Columbus, Ohio, that was a Civil War historian.
Oh, right.
And when he saw the picture on the record, he went, great photo, what's it sound like? So he put it on his station, it went to #1, and that's when Columbia said, come on, we're going to promote this now because we have a foothold
There
in
you
the
go,
market.
whatever it
Wow.
takes.
We were talking recently on the show about people when they're touring and playing their hits and what it might be like as an act for say you guys over the decades. I mean, in terms of how does your act develop and what's your goal, I suppose, when you're doing the act? Are you playing as much for yourselves as all the people that come to see you play?
That's a good question, Tristan. You know, our goal is to please the fans, you know, so we want to give them what they expect, hopefully, you know, so it's built around the records that the Union Gap made. So it's the first 3 albums, basically, all the hits, and, you know, a couple of other things that are just thrown in for fun.
So you formed in 1968 and crashed into the charts. How did Union Gap form?
Well, I had been in a band prior, and the band was kind of volatile, and the bass player and the drummer were always fighting about who was the leader and who would call the songs and all that. And finally I said, I'm on my way, I'm leaving, I'm going to put together something where somebody will follow me. I had no idea how to be a boss or a leader or any of that stuff. I just said, okay, so I quit. And it took me 4 months to find the guys that became the core of the band that was going to be called the Union Gap. But they were all very talented, they all played well. Sang pretty well, and we started rehearsing in my garage and went back to work in nightclubs, you know, and it was good because we were a good band. We had 2 saxes, piano, I played guitar, we had Hammond B3, we had bass and drums, and, you know, we played all the music of the day, Beatles, Stones, the R&B and all that kind of stuff, so we just love doing it. It's what we do.
And did you have to like each other?
What's that?
Do you have to like each other? Is that a big part of it?
Well, you know, that's 100% of it. You have to love the people you work with.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate to have 3 guys with me that have been with me now 15 and 20 years.
Yeah,
you know?
wow.
So we hang out together, we eat together, we play together, we travel together.
It's great to hear how much you still love it and how much passion still goes into it. What was it like? The only reason I'm asking this is because Gwyneth Paltrow was talking recently about what it was like being famous in the 90s and how it was easier to be famous, or it would be harder to be famous right now. What was it like being famous?
Because of mobile phones.
Because of mobile phones. Yeah, what was it like being famous in the 60s and 70s?
Could you get away with a lot is what he's asking.
Well, there was a time I couldn't wait in a movie line, you know, when people
Yeah.
recognized me, and it was sort of an encroachment upon my personal space. That doesn't happen so much anymore, though people do recognize me from time to time, which is nice because I'm willing to say, yeah, that's me. You know? Yeah, that's, you know, and I'm glad you love the records and that kind of thing. So, but
Which they absolutely do. And when you first put the song together, do you know it's going to be one that... Can you recognise the song that's just going to be
every
the hit?
song I write, I think is going to be a hit. You know, I love everything I write, so I don't know. They're always chosen by the record company, though. They always say, "Well, that's the one right there." So.
Well, you've nailed it because we all love it.
We
and
do.
it's great to have
you.
you back here as well.
And Gary Puckett and the Union Gap will be touring Australia in February and March, and you can head to the website on screen for tickets. Thanks so much for joining us, Gary.
Well,